Talks honest. Talks honest. Talks honest. Talks honest. Hello and welcome to Talks Honest. You are tuned in to iLive Radio UK, changing the way you listen to radio. I'm your host, Miss Law, and this is a platform and an opportunity for you to discuss topics never spoken but often thought of. You can connect with us by contacting 0208 638 8503 or www.uk.iliveradio.com.
What if we spoke honestly? 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 What if we spoke honestly?
Today's topic is motivation, and joining me on today's show is Miss Mode.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Now, motivation is a process that initiates, guides, and maintains goals-oriented behavior. Motivation means different things to different people because people are motivated by different things. When you define motivation as a reason why you are doing something or a level of desire you have to do something. Now, on a day-to-day basis, we're all motivated by different things. It could be someone that motivates you. It could be something that motivates you. But on a day-to-day basis, we are generally motivated by something. What is your greatest motivation, if there is one? Or you may have several.
What is my motivation? That's an interesting question there, because I've I haven't really thought about it in that sense. I just feel as an individual I've got a purpose in life to, whether to inspire, motivate, encourage myself or others, giving them upliftment. But I think it's more just of motivating myself in a positive way.
Yeah.
I feel in the past I've accepted certain things of myself and having that kind of self-doubt about things for myself. I think in the last few years I've changed that, and I think going into a new year I've changed even more my whole mindset into how I motivate myself to do things or do things for others, whether it's through doing something physical for them or if it's just being that person that they need someone to listen to, or whatever the circumstances is. But I think, when you grow up, you want, for some, you want to grow up and you want to make lots of money and have all these things.
Yeah.
My interpretation of that is kind of changed. For me, I just want to leave a legacy that can motivate other people going forward and that they're reminded of that. What would you say for yourself?
Like you said, it's not a subject or something I've really, really sat down and thought about. Don't get me wrong, I'm very motivated. I think my biggest motivation would be to be successful in all that I do. I don't want to be seen in anyone's eyes as successful. It's personal motivation. My drive is what takes me to that motivation. When I wake up in the morning and where my interests lie, and I want to take things to another level, I'm trying to find an example that I could use. Okay, I wake up in the morning and I have a challenge. My challenge is that I need to do something by the end of the day. So I have to keep myself motivated to do that. along the way, there may be obstacles that are stopping me from actually getting or achieving my goal.
Yeah.
And my motivation is that I've set this goal for myself. It's achievable, however, there may be obstacles in the way. So my perseverance and my persistence to actually pull through and get to the end of that day, having achieved that, keeps me motivated. So I have self-motivation. I don't need to be motivated by an individual or something to get me going. Now, some people are driven and some people lead. I would say I would lead. And that's in most things that I would set out to do, because I feel motivated by the fact that I woke up in the morning. The mere fact that I took that breath of air, for me, means a lot, because no day is guaranteed. You don't know what tomorrow brings. So when you are of that mindset, you know, nothing is really a challenge as such. It's just, you know, that you're motivated, you're driven, you know, you've got goals, you've got, you know, things are going to come in your way, and your intention is to get to that next destination or get to that point where you've achieved what you set out for that day.
Right. So do you have like, so you've set a goal, but automatically, you know, there's going to be stumbling blocks.
Naturally, that's with anything.
Do you prep for that? So, or is it something where you just come across it and then you deal with it there and then?
So, I mean, with obstacles, you don't know what they necessarily are going to be when you set goals. But you have to be prepared for those possible obstacles that are going to, you know, block your path. As I was saying, my end goal is the achievement that I have. At the end of this, I intend to achieve this. So that's my drive. I'm aware
You know you're going to reach that goal.
That is it. I'm going to achieve what I set out. However, some people can be disappointed by not achieving that end goal, but not realizing that it's down to you to keep yourself motivated on that, because you set that goal for yourself. So therefore, sometimes when you set a goal, it's not always achievable in the time span that you expect or you want. I think it's more to do with wanting, because sometimes we set ourselves challenges and they're not actually doable.
Yeah.
But the fact that you don't achieve it, you feel that you haven't done what you need to do. However, you could have actually set that goal that is difficult to achieve in that time span. So but it's about you moving the goalpost for you to be able to achieve it, because you're only moving it. You're not actually saying, well, I can't do this anymore, you know, I can't achieve this. You're just saying the time span that I've given myself isn't sufficient for me to achieve the goal that I've set.
So then is that something where you just need to be realistic with
naturally
the time frame, as in breaking it even down smaller?
Well, exactly that, because at the end of the day, when you set a goal, if you've never achieved that goal or have never set out to do that goal, you don't know what it's going to take to achieve it, do you? So therefore, you beating yourself up about not achieving it isn't the real issue. Is what you've set, is it doable, is the real question. And if it's not doable, why should you feel that you failed? When in actual fact, no, you haven't failed. It's just that you didn't actually set the goal out in the right perspective, because it wasn't achievable in that time or that space to do it.
Right. So you're discussing about you're more driven by self-motivation. So with your peers, if they motivate you towards a goal or something that you want to achieve, does that not even is it not like even a bonus to like encourage you even more? Or is it just something where you just shrug your shoulder, okay, thank you, but you're just, because you're stuck, or because you are as a person self-motivated, that person giving you that motivation is not necessarily needed.
No, I think when somebody is showing interest in whatever you're motivated in, it's very important that you actually take that on board, because that's someone showing interest in what you're setting out to do. So for me, if someone was showing interest in what I'm motivated by, I would embrace that. Why wouldn't I? You know, some people, but see, everyone deals with things differently. So some people are self-motivated, some people require to be motivated by others or other things. So we're all driven by different things.
Yeah, because I think I'm a bit of both. Whether it's reaching a certain goal or achievement, I would appreciate having that motivation, because I feel sometimes, for me mentally, I would have, whether it's a down day or days or a week of where I just do not feel motivated at all. And whatever I try and do as myself, it's not happening. But then that friend can just give me that encouragement and be like, all right, so today you're not feeling, you know, your best to achieve your goal. But it's not the be all and end all. So, you know, whether it's to just take this day out and just do something else and then get back on it the next day, but you have to keep at it. And for me, I think that helps me more than myself. And I think sometimes I don't always feel self-motivated. Now that could be many things, whether it's my self-esteem that plays a part, and that's where I'm just not motivated at all, and I just feel like I'm just going to give up, or I'm just not going to do it today. Because I feel there's some people like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously me, I'm quite motivated, but everyone has their down days. There are going to be days that you don't feel so motivated, but we all have goals that we set for ourselves. So all we tend to do is, when we've set those goals, is if you're not feeling that motivated today, you know, that's not a challenge you attempt, you know. So you're able to move that benchmark, you know, further away to give you that space to actually get back on it. Someone who's not necessarily motivated or needs help is not a bad thing, because sometimes you just need inspiration. Sometimes you just need a different opinion, or, you know, an injection from someone else that gives you that, you know, oh yeah, and I thought about this, and I'm going to do that based on that conversation sparked this, because that conversation is what kind of gets you going, I think. And sometimes if we're kind of cooped up and we're not conversing with other people, other things don't necessarily come out. It's only someone might say a word and you think, oh my god, it gets the old brain going to the point where you think, oh yeah, I've got to do this, or I've got to do that. It's not that you're not self-motivated, but some things in addition would motivate you. I mean, with myself, is I do set a lot of goals for myself. I will set my annual goal, I set my 5-year goal, I set my 10-year goals. And setting goals it's important that you understand that the time that you set isn't necessarily the time you're going to achieve.
Right.
Because obviously of those stumbling blocks. And I think the key is not to beat yourself over the head when you're not able to achieve, but understand what stopped you from achieving.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't look at that. They just see that they've failed. Everyone's quick to say that I've failed what my intention was, when there's tomorrow. There's
it's week. Just interesting, because I would say, all right, so let me bring up an example. Obviously doing my radio show, for example, And I mean, we've spoke about this before, but I would have never seen myself having my own radio show, playing music, having conversations, basically preparing a show. Like, for me, that's a big achievement for me.
Yeah.
And obviously when I decided to, you know, more or less go at it on my own, yeah, in my head, my goal was like, I do want to do it, but the fear kicked in.
Yeah.
The doubts kicked in.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I like music. Yes, I, you know, keep up with current affairs and stuff like that. But me, Miss Mode, me on the radio, me play, like, I didn't see that in my future back then.
Yeah.
And obviously, as I said, we've had conversations about it, but I feel that yourself and others who have spoken to me and said, like, what do you mean you can do it? Like, even like, and I know it took many times, obviously, for listeners who didn't know, like, I'm an introvert. I'm not one of them ones who is in the forefront.
No.
Right? So for me, going into that was a big thing. And don't get me wrong, yeah, I could see myself doing it, but I'm like, me actually doing that. And I'm like, okay, so having the conversations with yourself and other people, that kind of motivated me more. But even though I was going on that journey, I still had those doubts.
Yeah, I think you will, though. You will. Because remember, if it's not something that comes natural to you, you're always going to think of failure, or I'm not capable, or I don't have what it takes to do. You kind of second guess yourself, because obviously sometimes that lack of self-esteem isn't necessarily there, or you might not be confident in that area because you've never ventured there before. So they're all feelings that if you weren't feeling them, you would have to be heartless, you know, because there's always fear in anything new that you start.
Yeah.
I mean, me as a prime example, me doing my show, I'm an introvert myself. However, I'm now in doing a talk show that requires me to talk to people, interact with people on levels that wasn't my comfort zone.
Yeah, and it's like you do with all aspects, right?
Yes. You know, I mean, I'm human at the end of the day. I feel emotional when people tell me about certain subjects. I feel emotional about certain subjects that I talk about. I feel emotional about the fact that if my show doesn't go the way I want it to go. There's so many different things that you're actually going through at the time of doing whatever you're setting out to do. And there's no failure in anything.
Yeah.
There's no wrong and there's no right. It's just whatever motivates you and whatever makes you feel good about whatever you're setting out to do, just go with it.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times we put so much pressure on ourselves by saying, you know, we can write down 10 points and I need to do this and I need to do that. And if I don't do that, this is my contingency plan. We overthink things.
Yeah,
and
we do. And I know that for me, I'm an overthinker. I'm very particular on how I will produce my show. It's got to be, like, I can't, and what I've been doing is trying to not be so orderly.
Yeah.
Try and freestyle it, because you may have a moment where you may have to do that.
Yeah.
And I want to be comfortable
when that happens.
That I can, for when that happens, and that I can do that.
Yeah.
But by me doing that, because obviously that's one of my examples. The other is about health and well-being.
Yeah.
I think I could say for that, I self-motivate myself with that.
Yeah.
I read a lot when it comes to health and well-being. I'm just on it all the time. I'm feeding for more information, something new. I want to research it, understand it fully, and that's
who you are. That is who you are. So you like to do your research and get your background information.
Yeah,
so that
I'm not someone who just jumps in and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. And like, no, I want to research it, study it, understand it. Because once I understand it, then I'm be like, oh, okay, then yes, going forward, I can do that.
Yeah, your confidence is there. Once you have all the information, you're more confident than walking in blind.
Yeah. So when talking about self-motivation, and then I was like a bit of both. I feel with that side, I am motivated with health and well-being.
Yeah. And with regards to that motivation, because you know how important that is for you. So you were saying that you're not really someone who's motivated, but you are. It's just you're motivated in different things.
That's right, yeah.
And you're driven by different things. Yours is health and well-being. Mine may be financial. You know, we all have our niche. And that's where our power is.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with being motivated in something else, but you're just not confident in that. That's why you feel like you're failing whatever you're doing.
Right, hence doing my show.
Yes, but it's because it's something new to you, to both of us, to be quite honest. And it's trying to find that thing that's comfortable and that confident boost and that energy that feels comfortable, because it's about feeling comfortable.
Oh yeah,
Once
100%.
you're comfortable, you're motivated. You're good to go.
Yeah, and then I think having the break over the Christmas period, it's like it's made me think more on what else could I add to my show, what other segments I can bring in. Just making mental notes, taking down mental notes, and just thinking, yeah, maybe I should try that. Maybe I should incorporate that. But going back to motivation, I think growing up as a youngster, I wasn't really motivated by others.
Right.
Where I wanted to be motivated by others.
Yeah.
And I think now as an adult, I think I know the people who will be there to motivate me with certain things. I might not take it on and be like, yes, I'm going to do it, but I'll think over it.
Yeah, there are notes in your brain, there are notes in your memory that you can go back to, basically. Yeah.
And then be like, okay, yes, he or she makes sense. Yeah, I will take the steps towards doing that. And I think also for me, I want to be surrounded by motivated people, whether they don't have to be motivating me, but if I see that they're doing something that motivates them in a positive way, I draw to that.
Yeah.
I've decided for my mental stability that I need to surround myself with people like that.
Yeah.
Because then it makes you feel encouraged and motivated in what you're doing or whatever other project that you want to get into.
Yeah. I believe there's different levels of motivation. I think, as I've been saying, everyone is motivated but driven by different things. It's important that you know your niche and you build on that, but build up your confidence in other things as well. And as for you and I think that's something that we've done. We've left our comfort zones and we've just entered into a world that's foreign to us. You know, the energies and the motivation that you see from the individuals within what we're in, it can only motivate you more.
Yeah.
And it just shows you that there are no boundaries at the end of the day. You can achieve anything you want. You are your driving force to get to wherever you want to get to. And it's all achievable. Providing providing you set the goal that is realistic.
That's right.
And that's the key
Yeah,
thing.
because that's the thing. And you have to be realistic with it. It's like someone who wants to lose weight or gain weight. You can't just think, yeah, in a week, I'm going to lose all this weight. No, that's not being realistic.
That's right.
That's where you have to say out, whether it's on a weekly basis, that, you know, if I'm overweight, I know for this week, I know I've got to change up my lifestyle,
Yes.
my dietary, and just start off small, because even that is a motivation. If you cut out something gradually, that's a motivation, because you're gearing yourself now not to be having that same thing on a regular.
Yeah.
What do you feel about people who don't have no motivation? Like, where does that come from?
I think that's a lot to do with their growth, you know, or lack of growth. And that's not a disrespect when I say that, when I say lack of growth, because it's about what you're exposed to in life that gives you options. And when you're not exposed to or privy to certain information and certain knowledge and certain understanding and experiences, you don't see things for what they are, or you don't have the exposure to things to be able to see what things are all about.
Yeah.
And not being motivated says a lot about who they were growing up. And sometimes it could be things that have happened along the way in life that have caused them to be less motivated. So it's a bit of a tricky one, because you will always stumble upon people who are less motivated than you are. And there's going to be people who feel that you're less motivated than they are, and so on and so forth. So everybody's motivated at different levels and by different things. However, when somebody is not motivated or lacks motivation, I think it's key to converse with those kinds of people, because sometimes they need inspiration to get motivated. If they're not conversating about things, or they've not had conversations regarding things that may interest them, they won't know what they're motivated by or what motivates them. So some people will say, oh, well, that person's not motivated, I don't want nothing to do with them, you know. But that's not necessarily the attitude. The attitude is, okay, if they're not motivated, let's see what motivates them. That's the question I would need to ask. Or I'll be intrigued to find out what makes that person tick. What do they enjoy? Because they're the things that people don't necessarily ask them, but they want them to ask. But they just don't have those conversations to be asking those or answering those questions.
And I think that is lacking in this day and age, I feel.
Yeah, I would agree.
I would definitely agree with you saying that, you know, because you could tell who feels motivated. I feel I can tell who's motivated from not motivated. So it's like, it's all about striking up that conversation. It just could be just a general conversation about life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How's your day going? What you been up to?
Oh, yeah.
And then just taking it from there, and then you'll be surprised in that half an hour or 20 minutes that there's something that you're motivated by.
Of course. But I think a lot of times it's the not knowing. So when you don't know what you're motivated by, it can become a problem to you. It doesn't necessarily become a problem to another person. It becomes a problem for you, because it's like you're trapped. You're not conversing, you're not interacting, you know, you're not putting yourself out there, you're staying within your comfort zone. So when you stay in your comfort zone, you're not exposed to anything. So it's like you're self-isolating yourself, but at the same time, you're feeling down and out and, you know, not motivated by anything. So it's your energy that's actually driving you to get more and more in that, in that zone.
Yeah, that kind of, I think, like that negative space.
Yes.
And then you're just driven by that now.
Yes. And then you not only become negative, your thought process is very off-putting, conversations are abrupt, and it's like a spiral of personalities just going into one, just which seems very dark.
And as I said, for me, that's what I'm saying for me, and I've kind of, this time being in this lockdown has made me think, like, I don't want to be surrounded by people who are like that, who I'd rather, if you come and say to me, oh, you know what, I'm not feeling motivated today, for me, I want to motivate you.
Yeah.
I want to encourage you.
Yes.
In something.
Yes.
Whether it's something that you may have wanted to do, but you thought, haven't had that opportunity to do it, or whatever the reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to be around like-minded people. I feel like motivation is so key.
Yeah.
It keeps you, I think, mentally stable.
Yes.
To a certain degree.
I would agree there. Yes, most definitely.
Yeah, I would say it would do that to a certain degree, because I know for some people who are motivated, as you said a bit earlier, you could overthink things and then you're just like, all right, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do this particular goal because of whatever's stumbling block.
I wasn't able to achieve it in the time that I set, but was my time. The question is to ask yourself was it realistic?
Yeah.
And if it wasn't realistic, can I not move it forward a little bit?
Right.
And I think that's where the pressure lies, and it's us putting pressure on ourselves to achieve something by a time that isn't necessarily realistic.
Mm-hmm.
With regards to those people who are not motivated, I think it's key to surround yourself with all types of people, not just the motivated ones or like yourself, because you can learn a lot from those people who aren't motivated, because it may come a time where you are not so motivated in life because of something may have happened to you that caused you to lose that drive. You need to be able to deal with that as well, because there are times where you don't feel 100% or you just feel down and out, and it's like you've dropped into a dark hole, because that drive that you used to have, people make comments like, oh my gosh, when I was younger I used to do this, I used to do that. You can still do it.
Yeah.
But what you've done, you're putting barriers up for yourself. So
that's right.
To make it seem like because you're not young anymore, you can't do what you used to do. Of course you can. But I think we create barriers and obstacles for ourselves, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's interesting why we do that, because I know I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely guilty of that, and I don't know if, as I said, down to having fear, or is it because I'm older? But we always put something there, like we're looking to fail.
Yeah, I think what it is like when you're stepping out of your comfort zone, it's like you don't have the confidence that you're able to do this. So if you put something in the way, it kind of lightens the blow, or breaks the fall. So you don't really have to deal with the full impact. So we will put things to just cushion the blow for ourselves, not realizing that it's actually stopping us from achieving what we set out to achieve.
Very true. Very true.
I mean, like when you think about people and you see someone who requires motivating, what would you say you would do to motivate somebody if you were to meet someone?
it would be, I know for me, it would definitely be a conversation.
Yeah.
It's 100% having that conversation, but not jumping in at the deep end and be like, oh, so what motivates you?
No.
That don't make no sense, because if they're not feeling motivated, you're not going to get nothing out of them by just jumping in and saying that.
Yeah.
It's all about having a general conversation.
Indeed.
Talking about life from when you was younger till now, present time. And then maybe after that, you know, do you have any goals? Like, what would you really like to achieve? Because I feel there is something for everybody where they want to achieve something, but they just haven't tackled it because they don't feel they can do it.
And sometimes they don't even know how to tackle it as well.
Yeah. But then if they do know how to tackle it, what stops them?
Yeah.
Is it because it's going to take too much time? Can you afford to take that time to do it? Because obviously you might have other commitments. Like, it depends on what their situation is. But I feel like you've got so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
You must be able to take some time. It doesn't have to be like a big hour.
No.
But you can start off as 20 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah.
And then just gradually up the minutes, or just keep at that level. But then you'll realise that, oh wow, so this month I've done this.
Yeah. Because I must say, like, because I'm a very quiet person, some people may beg to differ. But if you know me, you know I'm a very quiet person. So I find that when I'm out and about, I kind of gravitate to people that are quiet.
Yeah.
It could be because I'm naturally that way inclined. And I just feel the need to have conversation with those individuals. It could be as simple as, oh, hi, you okay? And, you know, it's just sometimes something so simple can be so, like, amazing to somebody else.
Yeah.
Because remember, they see themselves in a little cocoon, and they don't actually think you see them because they're quiet. And I know how that feels, because I was one of those people. You know, as I've matured of age, I understand who I am. So therefore, I know what my scope is, and I know where my reach is, and I know to what extent I can go that I will then feel uncomfortable. So for me, somebody who was like I was is very appealing for me to actually talk to, because that person has hidden motivations, but because they're just a little bit introvert, they don't feel comfortable just coming out and saying things, because what they say, they just feel no one values or no one's interested in, you know, all the negative connotations attached to that. Yeah. So it just makes them feel inferior. They think they're inferior, then they actually do the actions to show that they're inferior.
Yeah.
So it's like a vicious cycle, a mental cycle going on in their head, where they keep demoralizing and devaluing themselves to the point where they feel worthless.
Yeah.
Hence the reason why they're in that cocoon.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, seeing people like that gives me that go to, like, have a conversation. You know, just interact with that individual. And, you know, and then it might be 5 minutes one day, and they might see you again, have the courage to actually approach you.
Yeah. Then
the next conversation may be you sat there for an hour talking about a subject that they're motivated by. You know, the next conversation could be you actually encouraging them to, oh, come and do this with me. Yeah. And with that, you've actually seen somebody grow from being something to something else. But it was there all the time. But they didn't just have that confidence to just bring it out of themselves. And when I say that, and I use that quiet person's example, my other example would be a friend of mine who was doubted her doing her own show. Yeah. And when she looked at that, she was putting all these obstacles in her way because someone else planted that seed to say, well, you can't do that. You're not capable of doing that. You'll never aspire to that, or you will never have your own show. And then when you think about all those different things that were said to them, it's laughable now because they think to themselves, oh my God, I allowed this person to come into my life, dictate to me, make me believe in what they're saying, and demoralize myself and make myself have no self-worth.
Right, and it's a thing of where you've just felt deflated.
Naturally.
And like the motivation was not there.
None at all.
It's not there at all. Like, yeah, it's just interesting. And I think when there's certain people who motivate you and encourage you, I know for me, I have to value that.
Yeah.
100% I have to value that because it's now you look back and think like, wow, I wasted that time being in self-doubt, not feeling motivated, just not really interested, because of the seed being planted, and you just feel like, no.
You allowed the seed to grow, basically.
But I feel motivation is a wonderful thing to have, young and old.
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like, for example, like if you're elderly, they feel like, oh well, I'm old now, so I don't really need to do anything. For me, I wish if I ever live to be an elder, I would always want to be learning about something or doing something creative.
Exactly that.
That has always been in the back of my head, to motivate myself to continue to do something.
Yeah.
Whether it's taking up doing art or knitting or whatever.
Yeah.
If it's learning something on the computer, for example. Just something to keep me going.
You see, motivations can be so small and then they can be so big. But it's like we were saying before, it's whether it's achievable.
Yeah.
And so long as you don't hang your hat too high, then you'll always be able to reach it. And if you feel that was when you achieved that it was too easy, move it a little bit further.
Yeah.
And a little bit further until you say, oh yeah, I feel like I've been challenged.
Definitely. And I think that needs to be encouraged a lot, especially with our young ones as well.
Yeah.
I feel some of them just feel like, because I live in a certain area, for example, if I live in a deprived area, this is all I'm going to know. Like, they don't think about, when you get into your 20s and 30s, you could be traveling the world and having your own business and doing great things.
Yes.
And I feel that definitely needs to be encouraged more, because there's a creative in everybody.
Yes, I agree.
It's just finding it and nurturing it.
Yeah. It's very important as well to have vision. We have modern technology, we have TV, we have all these different social outlets that we are exposed to so much. So to not be motivated by anything is really hard to believe. Even a man who has no sight is motivated by something. Do you understand?
Right.
So therefore, a man with sight should be motivated by almost everything on different levels.
Yeah.
So when you take it from a blind person's perspective, all they have is to feel. They don't know what colour is. They don't know what, but they have things that motivate them. I want to get across the road without any assistance. Their motivation is to cross that road.
Yeah.
Now that's going to require certain skills from them, because they need to be able to hear very well. They need to pay attention. They need to listen. You know, how many steps does it take to cross that road? These are things that it may seem very simple for us to discuss right now.
Yeah, because we have the vision.
Exactly.
So we can
but in a blind man's world, that is such an achievement. I went to the shop at the corner of the road for the first time in my life. I walked out on my front door for the first time ever in my life.
Yeah.
See, when you have, you don't know what it is to appreciate what you have. When you don't have is when you realise, oh my God, I was privileged to have that.
Yeah.
Did I actually utilise and use that to my benefit? Or did I use that to help somebody else achieve where I wasn't able to achieve? No.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
No.
So it's a really, I mean, this subject is, you know, a lot of times we talk about things and it really makes us think outside of the box.
Yeah. It does, because obviously, because we're so used to what we do on a daily basis, we don't really actually think about how does it feel for someone who doesn't have the abilities that we have.
Exactly that. You know, as I sit here and I just think about, because automatically you always think about someone less fortunate than you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know that my thing was not being confident, you know, lack of self-esteem. Didn't like to interact with people. I don't like to, you know, make eye contact, different things that were a stumbling block for me. I've achieved. I've motivated myself to get to myself to a point where I'm okay now. I'm okay to do these things. And that was me motivating myself in certain areas to bring those attributes that were deep within out, because they're all there, but something's got to get them out of you.
Yeah, very true.
Motivation, it's quite a tricky one, I'm not going to lie. And when you put yourself into that equation, it makes you really dig deep. I don't know if you feel the same way. It's like I'm really like analysing myself, not in a negative way. I'm just like looking at what I've achieved as a result of me coming out of who I was and exposing myself to things that were foreign to me. And when it comes to personal growth, I can see my growth.
Yeah, you can physically see it. 100%, you can physically see it.
Yeah, and that in itself is such an achievement.
Yeah, because for others it might seem something like small, but I know for me, it's something big for me. And with that being said, it's like it kind of encourages me more to be more successful at it.
Yes.
But just having that first step of breaking out of that shell, because you know I'm someone who is more or less to myself. When I tell people, for example, that I'm a quiet person, they're like, "You quiet?" Like, yes, I am quiet. It's just because if I'm around people, yes, I have to say something.
Yes.
I can't just stand there or sit there and just not say anything. So yes, but when I'm just to myself, I'm very quiet. And I suppose even when I'm out as well, like I'm not someone who just approaches. And I think being or doing this radio stuff, it's changed me a bit to be more approachable, to be more comfortable approaching, whether it's to get guests or whoever, whatever it is.
Yes.
It's just broken me out of that shell.
I think you stepped out of comfort zones, and that's the key thing. Like being able to step out of comfort zones is such an achievement.
It is.
You know, and identify that you've actually stepped out of that comfort zone, and you're you're constantly stepping out of comfort zones is achievement after achievement after achievement.
Definitely, because it's like when you because you're a certain way for so long, it's more or less been your makeup, right? So when you're so used to that, and then something else has just come around now, and you're like, ooh, you're like, oh. But then it's like you take that leap of faith, innit?
Yes.
You take that leap of faith. You're like, all right then, go on then. I'm gonna do it.
And it takes time, because sometimes you put your foot, you put your foot in the water and it's too hot. You put your foot in the water, it's too cold. You know, today's not the day. Then when you make that step, you've committed, and you're in now, and it's like, I need to do something to make this work. So now you've actually stepped out of the comfort zone. You're in the zone. It's like survival skills kick in, and it's like, this needs to work because I can't go back.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest step that you ever make. Stepping from comfort zone, out of comfort zone. That's that do or die step.
Yeah.
Because that's the point of no return.
Exactly. And it can only go one way.
Exactly.
Because yes, you know there's gonna be mistakes or stumbling blocks here and there, but that's how you learn. You can't just go in thinking, I know it all, and think, it's just going to run smooth. No, that's not how life works. And this is where the whole thing of being realistic about things comes into play.
Yes. Most of the times we are our biggest downfall because we set our bar too high.
Yeah.
But the bar can be moved. That's the key thing.
That's the key thing.
Can be moved.
Because remember, it's you. You set the bar.
That's right.
No one else does.
Yes.
So when you want to start at 1 and then go on to 2, 3, instead of just going 1 and jumping to 6, 7, it's you. Remember, you're the one who's in control.
That's correct.
Right? So you control that bar and you go at the pace that you need to go.
Yes, most definitely. It's quite a learning curve for everyone who lacks motivation, or even has motivation, to be quite honest. But having looked at this subject and discussed it today, it's quite an eye-opener, because you're actually analysing your personal growth.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually seeing your achievements. You're actually experiencing those steps that you took to get you from that comfort zone out there.
Yeah.
And as much as it may not mean a lot to someone else, it's an achievement for you.
Yeah.
Because you've just learnt new skills of how to deal with something that you were not dealing with.
Yeah, it was foreign.
Yeah. If there were any final thoughts that you wanted to share today, what would they be?
I would say my journey so far, it's just shown me a lot of things which I've learned about myself.
Yeah.
And with that, I want to encourage others, those who are listening, and they're probably having self-doubts about achieving a goal or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I will say never give up. Yes, you will have days where you just don't want to do it, but just take that time out not to think about it and just leave it for the next day. Because I feel sometimes we procrastinate a lot, where we could just leave it where it is, carry on doing something else, and then tackle it another time. But always remember, be realistic with your goals and what can motivate you to achieve something.
Yes.
Don't go barging in, because I feel that won't work.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to encourage everybody, young and old. As I said earlier, everyone is a creative. You have some skill that could be beneficial, not just for yourself, but motivate other people.
Yeah.
So I would say always remember that.
Today's subject was motivation. Some of us are driven and some of us are not driven. But it's very important that you realise who you are and know yourself to the point you know what you can achieve and what you can't achieve. There are going to be times when you set goals that cannot be achieved in the time span that you've set, but there's nothing wrong with moving that bar a little bit further away to allow you to re-look at what you're doing. You must always tell yourself, no matter how hard it is or how hard it gets, I'm going to make it. I want to thank you for listening to today's show. Good night and God bless.
What if we spoke honestly? 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 What if we spoke honestly?